Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to the May 14th edition of the Long Beach Post's Daily Talks. I'm Jason Ruiz. I'm a reporter with the Post, and today we have Long Beach Airport Director Cynthia Guidry with us. Now, before we get into talking, I'd like to remind the viewers that are watching that can send in questions throughout the interview, and we'll try to relay those to Cynthia. Now, Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for inviting me to participate. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, we love that you're here. So, I mean, as every industry that you could possibly think of right now, the airline industry is struggling. People are afraid to travel. People can't travel, depending on if a certain region that you're trying to travel to would require you to quarantine. What has that done to Long Beach Airport? Like, how has that financially impacted Long Beach Airport?
Well, I'll start out by saying typically airports are considered economic engines for a community, for a region. And so for us to see this type of scenario take place in the industry overall and to see hardly any passengers coming through this airport, it is a brand new day, and no one could have prepared, for something like this. And so, for us, it's typically, just last year we talked about jumping close to about 8.6 million pumping into our local and regional economy. And now with the quick decline, sharp decline in passenger travel, we're still looking and seeing what's going to happen, for the remaining of the year.
Right.
Definitely difficult.
Yeah. Actually, exactly 3 months ago, I was at the airport doing a story about you guys had the poet out there typing out, the poems for travelers. And then here we are today, and we're writing stories about how nobody is at the airport, especially not poets. But what you mentioned that it's an economic driver. What has been the airport's economic impact been on the region, and projecting out, like, what kind of losses could the region see because places like Long Beach and obviously LAX are not having travelers come in and out?
Mm-hmm. Well, just to give you a perspective, so in our economic impact report from last year, and we talked about 8.6 billion, 46,000 jobs that we would typically see that's pumped into our local and regional community. But now with really about 95% decline in passenger travel, which means a tremendous revenue hit to us. We're really driven by the number of passengers coming in and out of our airport. And so at this point, we're looking at about a 10 to 20 million dollar hit in our revenue for the remainder of this fiscal year, which is huge for us. And so, we're watching the industry overall and hoping for some type of uptick, but we know that it's a domino effect. So, whatever dollars that are brought into this airport really help supply jobs and other supporting businesses around this airport, and that supplies the income and the wages for other people that support this industry. And so, we're still assessing. That's going to continue to happen on a weekly and monthly basis. But for us at the airport, we've had to take a hard look at what we have in front of us and look at opportunities of how we, as well as our airport partners and different businesses that are here, what we can do, in the immediate time frame, but also what should we be looking forward to changing and implementing over time.
Right. And, one of those discussions happened on Tuesday night at City Council. I mean, none of us were, maybe you were physically there. I was in this very same room. But you guys are starting to go forward with construction of the phase 2 terminal improvement project, which when it was approved, you guys were going to move the rental car section inside to the ticketing booth, and then ticketing was going to be moved to its own building, and you guys were going to restore the historic terminal building. It was going to be awesome. Not that Long Beach Airport isn't already awesome, but it was going to be a big facelift that was going to make it nicer than it already is.
Mm-hmm.
And on Tuesday, you guys kind of got into well, we're going to move forward with what we have money for right now, but we're going to have to assess what parts of the project may have to get delayed or maybe even abandoned. What does that look like going forward with the project?
For us, and you can, as you mentioned in February, love was in the air. We had just gone to council to seek their approval on our major, phase 2 development here. We were really pumped and excited about all the pre-security enhancements that we were going to do and plan. I mean, it was a great atmosphere and feeling for that program, and it's still there. But with the impact that we have with the pandemic and the passenger numbers, we have to take a really, really hard look at our entire capital program and really be mindful that we don't know when the end really is. And so we expect a long recovery in the aviation industry, but that requires for us as an airport that's really dependent on employments to take a slow roll moving forward. And I talked about at City Council us moving forward with the check baggage inspection system project, that's one of the first out of 6 projects that we started on, and that's a critical piece because we do have TSA funds for that project. It's primarily a grant funded by them, and so it's sort of a safer way to to move forward, and that's a commitment that they have to us. And the other piece of it, though, is the ticketing building. And so the new ticketing building, which is great, and we want to provide that new service because this historic terminal that we're in today, was built in the 1940s, and we really wanted an up-to-date ticketing building. We are going to continue that, but to a logical hard stop. And it's really to provide us a little bit of time to watch what the market is doing, watch what the passengers are doing, what the aviation activity looks like, and then proceed with caution. And so we will have a decision point in the early part of 21 to decide on, do we want to continue to move forward? Is it safe enough? What risks are involved? More than anything, we want to continue improving all the facilities here at the airport that we had planned in the phase 2 program. But our fiduciary responsibility is to make sure we're mindful of the cost and we're mindful of, what that brings, to this airport and to our community, with, making sure that we're doing something that's not going to put us financially at too much risk. And so that's what we're looking at. Still excited about the program. And yes, you're right. Folks love our airport already, and we get a lot of positive feedback and comment on that, but we still want to make it better. And there's a lot of opportunity to make it better. And we're very proud of this airport. And so we'll see, time will tell, but we'll see how the market responds. We see how, the industry responds. And it's all about our health and safety. We want to make sure that for right now in this moment is to ensure that our employees and our passengers are safe coming in and out of here. So we need to be mindful of that.
Right. And I think kind of like any industry, it's going to require trust among customers, whether you're a restaurant or an airport. Things could open next week, and if people don't feel safe, they're probably not going to come back in large numbers, right? So what are you guys doing at the airport to make people feel safe when they do come back, or for the ones that are currently traveling? Like, what kind of changes have you put in place to kind of alleviate the stress of the virus?
So what's been great is our partners here at Long Beach Airport. So our airline community, our concessionaires, the TSA, the employees here, the different businesses here, we have been working on this for weeks of really understanding that very point of, for the passenger, for the public, it's going to be a different type of journey. And we know that as folks start to travel a little bit more, you need to feel comfortable. You need to feel that it's safe to travel. And so one of the things that we did, and you saw the press release earlier this week, is requiring facial covering for all the passengers that are coming in and out of this airport. The staff here has been wearing facial covering, but it's important that we all do it for really the safety of each other, and promoting really an atmosphere and environment that our passengers will feel comfortable in. We've also put out in place floor markings across the public spaces here at the airport. So in our concourse, in our terminal, before our security screening checkpoint, we have floor markings to delineate the 6 feet that's needed to promote social distancing. We also have plenty of signs out there reminding folks of all the tips that's been out there in the public regarding washing your hands, don't touch your face, all those different things to I think it's important that you consistently and quite often communicate to the passenger. We also are in the process, and you'll see a few have already been installed, of these clear barriers between the ticketing agent and the passenger. And we also have the process going for clear barriers at the gate, at the ticketing gate. And so those are things that we've already started implementing. But I can tell you, all the partners here, all the business partners, and like I said, the concessionaires, the restaurants, the retail stores, they've all are in it together as far as making sure that the passenger is feeling comfortable as possible, and they're doing their part to make that happen. I do think a part of it is we need to further educate and communicate all the different improvements that go on here over time, and as we learn more across our industry partners, we'll continue to see what we can do even further to make sure that that journey for our passenger is safe, is comfortable, and easy, the way we like to be here in Long Beach.
Do you have any insight? I know you don't get to set the rules necessarily for what JetBlue and Southwest do inside their planes, but have they shared with you their plans as far as like maybe seating arrangements that they have in place for when people do get on the planes? Are they skipping rows, or what have they shared with you in terms of that?
So what I can share is that they have, and this is what I really appreciate with many of the air carriers, but all the air carriers that are here, and it's 5, they're all requiring facial coverings for their passengers. And so, not every air carrier is doing that at other airports, but for the number that we have here, it's great that all of them have committed to that, and they are, implementing that. Some air carriers, and I can't speak for all of them, but some are limiting the number of passengers that are arriving on their aircraft. So that's their load factor. Some of them are limiting that, but I don't have the specific, ones for each carrier that's here, but right. I do know that some of them are doing that. And again, they're in definitely in lockstep in understanding that as an industry, we all need to do what we can to make sure that passenger traveler is feeling safe and comfortable. And that means adjusting and being flexible to the feedback that we hear. And all of this is really with the understanding of the data and the science and the health orders that we have coming down, across our state and as well as locally here in Long Beach.
Sure. And for those of the viewers that weren't watching the press conference yesterday, you got into this topic of touchless travel. Could you kind of I guess explain it again to our new viewers? What does that mean? What does that look like? So as an industry, and we all know, and really it's the way we're probably going to evolve here, and that's having an interest of what does a touchless journey look like for a traveler, and really in our community as a whole. And so the industry is talking about that. We're looking at touch points of saying, what may need to change in the long term for the travelers. So for instance, we're all used to using our phones for different reasons, and maybe there will be a more focused on ensuring you get your boarding pass through your phone versus using a ticketing kiosk, right, here at the airport where folks touch, quite often. And although we're cleaning those areas, those high touch point areas, very often, we know probably in the
long haul that passengers may want to see something different. And we want to be able to plan for that and adjust for that.
Yeah, I mean, and that would be one less step before you get to security. You just, already have your ticket on your phone, and
Yes. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if you see that in so many other areas. I'm talking about the aviation industry, but I could see that in other areas, in our environment.
yeah, I mean, I already use my phone as a credit card already. So, I
Yep.
mean, how safe that is, I don't know, but I would definitely be open to using it at the very least skip a line, but also, one more layer of not touching something that somebody else has touched.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, definitely at our restaurants as well. I mean, they're all going in that direction and making it as easy and touchless as possible, with our
Right.
passengers.
So I hate to circle back around to the bad stuff, but I feel like when you say 95%, I don't think a lot of people understand what that means in terms of like how much travel is down at Long Beach
Okay.
Airport. So when before we went online, you mentioned a number. So Long Beach Airport can fly about 53 flights a day, right? How many
Right.
has it been flying?
So we can fly up to 53 slots a day, but lately it's been roughly between 8 and 13. And that schedule, it really is fluctuating, but that's a dramatic decrease for us. And slots are one thing, but I can tell you what we're looking at right now are the number of passengers. So to put it in perspective, we normally have about 5,000 passengers saying departing from
Right.
our airport in a day, and right now we're looking at less than 200 a day.
Wow.
And so that's what, yeah, for the last 6 weeks, it's been an incredible change. But part of that is due also to the travel restrictions that are out there. And so, we want to respect that. We want to make sure that we all do what we can to reduce the transmission of COVID. But it's been a tremendous impact for the airport and consequently the revenue. The What I would also share is that just kind of year to date numbers as far as decline, it's about a 36% decline for the fiscal year. And so we still have a few more months to see, where we end up, but this is a game changer. This is definitely going to, change the way we all, move and operate and conduct our business. We're definitely more mindful of all of our expenses and looking at every dollar that is needed in and out of our airport operations.
We have our first viewer question just popped up on my screen.
Okay.
So let's do that one. So I'll preface it with this. So recently, the news came out that Delta was suspending service at Long Beach. It is my understanding that any airline that took federal funding is required to maintain service to the airports that they did service before coronavirus, correct? So the question is, is Delta gone permanently? Which I may have just answered on my own. But the follow-up question is, who could potentially fill those slots if Delta or another airline were to leave?
So first, they're not gone permanently. Thankfully, their suspension is for right now until September, the end of September, and it is tough. These are really hard times for all of us in the industry, and I certainly understand for our carriers that some of them have to make some really tough decisions. Not only has Delta suspended some of their operation, Hawaiian did last month as well. But with Delta, it's they have 12 slots, and so it is a significant number for us to see here at this airport. But we hope to have them back, and they plan to be back. And in my conversations with them, they are very excited about Long Beach and want to be here. And so they do have to go through steps in which they did appropriately to be able to have this temporary suspension. So they had to make nationwide cuts at different airports, and we unfortunately had to be one of them. But I am so looking forward to having them back in the fall. And so we'll see. A lot is going to depend on how things materialize over the next several months. So there are supplemental slots, and there is an opportunity for our existing incumbents to decide if they need any of those temporarily, and so we'll work with them, as we need to.
So another question that just came in is the load factor on the flights that are going out. I mean, if you said you have about 200 people a day going out on 8 to 13 flights, that's what, about less than 20 people per plane?
Not that many. So we've had days, and it's gone up and down. We've had days where, you've seen maybe 5 or 6 passengers on an aircraft, and in some cases, for a little bit of time, there were some cancellations that the carriers needed to make because it just did not make sense on some of these flights.
Right.
So it's definitely a different time that we're seeing right now, because those that are traveling are typically ones that absolutely have to travel at this time. But it's pretty amazing to be out there in the concourse and not see that many passengers in there. So it's tough times.
Right. What is lined up though are some of the airplanes, as we had discussed. We have JetBlue, and I don't know if the Southwest ones were parked there for extended amount of time, but I saw a Southwest plane or two parked along the runway. For those planes that are down and not going anywhere, is the airport, like, do they have to pay you guys rent to leave those planes parked there, or how does that work out?
Yeah, they pay a small fee. It's a small fee to be able to park their aircraft. And JetBlue and some of our other carriers have allowed, have asked for that, and we've allowed for it. And it's one way we can help right now, because across the nation there's aircraft that the air carriers need to park somewhere. They're not flying, and so we want to be able to be an asset and an opportunity for these airlines to be able to use our airport to do that. And so you do see that out there for a time being, and hopefully maybe by the end of the summer we'll see a change. We hope to see aircraft and air travel picking up by that time.
Right, like as there are things to do, there'd be more reasons to travel, and hopefully by that point there'll be safety in traveling. There'll be maybe some kind of expanded testing that would make people feel safer about getting on a plane. The questions keep rolling in.
Yeah.
Next question is, what is the airport doing to ensure employee safety? I think you kind of got into that with the mask wearing and sanitizing, but anything else you want to add?
Yes, and education. So it's a constant education on what we can do as employees. And one thing, and I can say this just from when I first started here at Long Beach Airport as director, the employees and the staff that are here are so passionate about this airport. And right now we have about half of our workforce telecommuting and doing work from home. And that's one way that we can help folks out and our employees out. And then we rotate schedules as well. But when you're here at the airport and walking around, facial covering is a must. And we also try and communicate a lot with our staff. And so there are a lot of daily communications that go out. I do my own communications out to the team just to keep them up to date on where things are.
Okay. My dog's barking in the background, so if anybody's listening,
coming from.
Speaking of telecommuting, these are the drawbacks. So I guess it's obviously hard to project what things are going to look like. In June or August, the county just had a an possible indefinite extension of the stay-at-home order. But for someone asking the question, which I think a lot of people are, they want to get out of the house. When is a good time to fly? Like, do you think that we'll be able to fly by September or October in terms of people trying to plan out trips? What would you say to them?
It's really going to be about, what we all do as a community. And, as we listen to our health experts, we listen to the guidelines coming from the state governor's office and also from our local health department. I think those areas will help educate and inform us of what we can say is a good time. Right now, we definitely know that there's still that travel restriction that's in place. We are starting to see a slight uptick, but it is really, really slight, but just enough to give a little bit of hope. But right now, it's probably going to be a long recovery period, and we expect to see a little bit of a rise toward the end of the year. But a lot's going to depend on what we do as a community in controlling the
Right.
transmission and how we respond. Also, probably what us as airports and airline community and industry and what we can do to help keep our airports and travel safe as much as possible or safer. And also, I would be curious too if there's probably going to be other requirements and regulations that might come out of this and materialize because of what we're learning today and how we may need to change things in the industry. And so all of those things play into what tomorrow looks like.
Right. And just to be clear, it's not the airport that's enforcing the travel restrictions. Like if I came to the airport today and said, "Hey, I'm going to fly to Denver," like I can fly to Denver, but when I get to Denver, I'm probably going to have to stay at a hotel for 2 weeks to self-quarantine.
So
At
it's
least
not,
that's what
you're correct. It's not the airport
yeah.
that's doing the travel restrictions. This is all coming down from, all the health orders and the guidelines coming from our governor office and the CDC. And there's us as an airport, we provide the means and the service. And that's what we all need to be mindful of, is that that's what our role is, but we need to listen and also as a community respond to the things that have been issued by our local health department.
Right. And I mean, I'm sure that's attributing or contributing to low travel numbers because, if you had a trip planned, you're not going to go on it because you're going to be forced to stay in the hotel room and you won't be able to go anywhere. I don't know if you guys have data on how many flights were canceled because of that, but I'm sure it's a big part of it. Plus nothing to do. So, do we have any more questions? I don't see any more. I guess what is your to just kind of wrap this up? What is your optimistic outlook of what how the airport recovers? I know you said it's going to be a long recovery, but what things would you like to see happen to kind of like speed that up? I guess.
It's going to be a number of things, and I lived through 9/11 and the aftermath of 9/11 and as far as at an airport. And you recognize that there are things that are going to take place that will change our industry as a whole. For me, I look at the airport and know that we will get through it, just like everyone else through this pandemic time. We will be stronger on the other side of this. We are all learning so much of how we can operate and be safer and be more efficient and do the things that we can as an airport to make it easy for a traveler. And so all those things really matter. I think the airport here, we're so focused on our passengers right now and our employees, and we just want to see them back. And we want to be able to provide a service that is easy and comfortable for them. I would say our spirit here is high in that we know that we just need to plan for the future. We need
Right.
to be thinking about, when folks are feeling comfortable about traveling, what kind of experience would they have here at the airport? We're one of the few airports that have an open outdoor garden area and plaza that's very attractive. And we know if our passengers are coming in, they need to be able to feel like they can navigate and flow as freely as much as possible and keep their distance. And so, you look at all those things and you realize we'll get through it. We'll make it through, and we'll be more positive and stronger on the outside of this. But what are the things that we can do today? what exactly what we're doing, making sure that we communicate, if it's facial coverings, if it's signage, reminding people of what you need to do to keep yourself protected and all of this in the entire environment protected. We want to continue to do that. So
Right.
to me, the future always seems bright, and it looks bright because the what we do know is that as people, as a nation, we love to travel. It's part of what we enjoy doing leisurely, and it's also necessary at times to move goods and cargo and allow us to conduct our business. So uh, the future is bright.
I think everybody is looking forward to the not only the airport's recovery, but the city's economy as a whole. And I think we're in good hands at the airport with you in charge over there. I want to thank you again for joining us for this talk today. I think we did all right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So again, this
Thank
is
you.
Cynthia Guidry, the director of Long Beach Airport. I'm Jason Ruiz, reporter for Long Beach Post. And that's it. That's it for today. I don't know who the guest is tomorrow, but there will be another one of these tomorrow at 1, and I'm not going to be hosting it. So whatever that means. But again, thank you, Cynthia, for joining us. Appreciate
Well,
it.
thank you, Jason, for really just allowing me to be here and share what we're doing, and really appreciate your support.
Thank you.